All right, ladies and gentlemen, so happy Thursday. Here's my comic if any of you showed up late. Notice, notice, notice. I just love the Far Side. Hope you do too. So, happy Thursday. We do have tutoring after school today, 4:40 to 5:30. For those of us that are behind, those of us that are struggling, come, let me help you. It's amazing what I can do if I have that time to visit with you and talk to you and help you get focused. I have students that come to tutoring with a 40 in my class and they leave tutoring with an 80 in my class. And not because I gave it to them. I don't give people anything. You earn it because you are smart, confident, and successful. So make that sacrifice. Come after school during Zoom. If you're on campus, I had a couple of kids that were in sports. They were on campus for their sports. So I'll just come to Mr. Carvajal's class. I'll be here. I'll help you. Today, exactly like yesterday, we will focus on writer's craft and think about the things a writer does to create the mood, the tone, the tension, the emotional response, right? The rhetorical power. And I will use my riddle skills and write and express my opinion. Our close, it's another discussion question, exactly the same as yesterday. Which feature most affected how well the author's argument was presented, and explain why? The article, however, is very different, and we'll find out more about that in a few minutes. All right, so today is a good day. Let's do our positive affirmations. I hope you're saying them in your head if you're not saying them out loud, because they do make a difference, and of course we know that. All right, what are you? I am smart, confident, and successful. Yes, you are. And how do you feel about reading? I love reading. It's so much fun. And boy, once you get good at it, it sure is. And how do you feel about schoolwork? The harder I work, the smarter I become. And that attitude makes such a huge difference. The best thing you can learn to do is do it now. Let me do it now. I don't want to put it on that pile and then forget about it. All right, so what are we doing? Oh, thanks for asking. So if we go into our course, you can do it, computer. You're a good computer. There you go. I knew you could. We'll go into our course, week 5. Thursday's work. Oh, I forgot to pull it up to the top. Thursday's work, growing up in prison. Open up your own copy. If you cannot open it, message me. I will send you a copy. I will email it to you super quick. You want to read this. You are a good person. You love reading. It looks like this. Time Magazine, Nate Brazil, sentenced to grow up in prison. This article is informational. It does present both sides, but like the one that I showed us earlier in the week, or maybe last week, I think it very much leans. And we had a discussion about that during first period, how the information is presented makes a big difference. So keep that in mind. Get your own copy so you'll be able to read, because as usual, I'll read the first half and you will read the second half. And if you've been reading all semester long, you know your reading skills have improved because it's just a question of practice. Okay, and what is our assignment for today? Oh, thanks for asking. Oh, I moved this up. See, technology? It's infuriating sometimes. Thursday's work, argumentative analysis 2. It's almost exactly the same as yesterday, with just a couple of changes. So we're going to read Grow Up in Prison, and just as last time, which feature most affected how well the author's argument was presented? Explain why. You can focus on evidence, much as we did last time, facts or examples to support claims, the reasoning and commentary to develop the ideas, connect the claim and the evidence to help the reader clearly understand the validity of the argument, diction and stylistic elements. We're talking about diction, right? We're talking more about word choice that gives the writing its voice. Like you can hear the author's personality in it. And honestly, I don't think diction and stylistic elements are very strong in this one. He doesn't use particularly um, focused language here, but you can read it for yourself and decide for yourself. Persuasive elements. Remember, ethos, pathos, and logos. Think about the things that make you emotional and that add power to the ideas expressed. It makes the audience want to agree. And this article is actually pretty disturbing. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. Grading. Here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. You must answer the question asked. And you answer must be your writing, not a quote. Yesterday, I had a number of people put persuasive, and they copied a three-line quote, and I gave them 100 because I didn't give any kind of tell you couldn't do it. So let me tell you now, your answer must be 3 lines of your writing, not a 3-line quote. So if you give a 3-line quote, and that's basically it, you'll get a 60. If you answer off topic, you'll get a 60. Of course, if you want to redo your answer, I had some people do that yesterday. Oops, I messed up. They redid it. Ooh, of course, I'll give you full credit. But keep in mind, the question we're answering is, right, which feature most affected how well the author's argument was presented? Not, do you think Nate Brazil deserves to be in prison for the time that he is? Hope that makes sense. So once again, your writing, I'm not saying not to put quotes, just be sure you write at least 3 lines and then add quotes, because the quote will not be part of your grade. Okay, any questions about that? Super cool. So once again, let's get that open, and then we'll talk about, we'll start reading, and we'll discuss afterwards. And this is our last grade before the break. Tomorrow is game day. So we're going to have a good time tomorrow. I hope you come to class. Okay, let me quit screen sharing, and then we'll get started here. This is from Time Magazine in partnership with CNN from Friday, July 27, 2001. Nate Brazil, sentenced to grow up in prison, by Tim Roche. After 14-year-old Nathaniel Brazil was convicted of second-degree murder in May for the shooting death of his favorite teacher, he rode back to the Palm Beach County Jail in silence. Tried as an adult, he had faced the possibility of being found guilty of murder 1. As he strode into the 12th floor cell he shared with other youths accused of violent crimes, the Florida teenager could hardly imagine the life in prison awaiting him when the judge eventually sentenced him. "What up, Nate?" the others greeted him. "Saw you on TV. Could have done worse." He laid on his bunk, crying alone in his cell. Later that night, the others crowded around the TV to watch an episode of Law and Order. It was about a school shooting, captured on video, a case just like his. Nate could not stay and watch. He retreated to his cell. On Friday morning, Nate gulped silently as the circuit judge, Richard Wennett, finally determined his fate. Instead of life in prison, Nate will serve 28 years, followed by another 7 years of house arrest and probation. His jail buddies were right again. He could have done a lot worse. Prosecutors and relatives of teacher Barry Grunow had asked the judge to imprison him for the rest of his life, or at least for 40 years. Talk to school teachers about the sentence and you can understand why they feel Nate got off lucky. Murder is murder, they say. Had he killed a police officer, another public servant, there is little doubt that he would have received life. With 29 school employees killed violently on the job since 1992, the National Education Association is now offering homicide insurance to the 2.6 million members of the union. Talk to the family of the slain teacher, and you can understand why they do not want to be walking down the street someday and bump into the killer of their loved one. Still, the question remains whether the 7th grader deserved more or less. The judge may have ordered him to get his GED and take anger management courses in prison, but can Nate be properly rehabilitated growing up inside? How much should he suffer for one fatal mistake? He had been an honor student. He had been mild-mannered and likable, the kind of kid whom teachers and principals relied upon to help settle schoolyard disputes. He loved school, and he loved Barry Grunow. On the last day of school in May 2000, Nate was sent home early because he had been throwing water balloons. He was told to leave school before he had a chance to say goodbye to teenager Denora Rosales, his first serious girlfriend, who only 6 days earlier had given him his first kiss. Fuming, he went home, got a gun belonging to his grandfather, and returned to the school, where he stood outside Grunow's classroom and demanded to see his girlfriend. All right, so go ahead and continue reading on your own. If you don't know a word, who cares? Skip it. Just keep using your imagination and find out what happens. When you're done, remember, answer the question in the discussion.